Benny, how you going?
I'm good, John. How are you?
Good. I'm with Benny Goodman, who's the VSDCUA umpire coach. And on the weekend, Benny had his 400th first 11 game. And to put some perspective around that, we roughly do 13 to 16 matches every year. And to get 400, it's about 35 years of first 11 umpiring, which is quite incredible. So, Benny, I'm going to ask you some questions and we can just go from there. So, you started playing cricket for Pascoe Vale's Central's Cricket Club. How old were you then?
From memory, a long time ago, about 18, I think, thereabouts.
Okay, and I remember from the last discussion, you're a bit of a wicket-keeper batsman.
Cheeky wicket-keeper, yeah.
What was that again?
Cheeky wicket-keeper.
A cheeky wicket-keeper. So I know you like most keepers, you were actually probably a bit good on the tongue and probably gave the umpires a bit of a hurry up, maybe. Is that true?
No, never against umpires. I was always just against opposition players, just trying to get inside their head.
Oh, good answer, Benny. The best figures behind the stumps were?
6 catches, 2 stumpings in 1 innings, which was just one day out.
Wow. Was it fast bowling or slow bowling, or a bit of a combination of both?
No, combination of both, bit of both, yep.
And how good was the bowler?
No, we had some very good bowlers back in them days. Guy could swing the ball, and matter of fact, I used to keep up to the stumps when he'd open the bowling with the new ball, so he could swing it outwards. And the level, I mean, he should have been playing Premier Cricket rather than community cricket there, but he was far too good. But I was very fortunate. Had some really good players around the club, so I was lucky because not too many either wanted to or knew how to wicket keep. So. I got it by default and then just learnt and went from there.
So I understand that at Pascoe Vale Central, they had a famous cricketing name playing in your team. Who was that?
Well, not in my team. You mean Ken Hunter?
No, I'm not talking about Ken Hunter. We'll talk about him later.
Mackay.
Colin Mackay?
Colin Mackay, yeah. He was actually the captain at the time. And he diddled me in an innings one day. We were going for an outright. It was the second innings. I was 88 not out, and he declared.
Oh, nice one. So what else about Colin Mackay is still relevant with sub-district today?
Oh, well, he's got a couple of lads that now play for Brunswick, and one played obviously at a higher level, and Bud David and his brother played at Premier level. And doing wonders out at Brunswick Cricket Club. So it's great that they've come back to VSDCUA and the name continues on.
I assume you're talking about Clint Mackay that played for Australia?
Correct, Clint and
Dave.
And Dave, yep.
Oh, Dave was one of my favourite all-time captains. He'd love to hear that. He's just he loves his cricket. He's got a smile on his face. He plays it hard, but he plays it fair. So I think that's the best way to describe Dave. And then you moved from there to another cricket club, which is Marinda Park Cricket Club, which is near Cranbourne. What's the story behind that?
Well, actually, I was living in Glenroy for a number of years, and the family, we lost a brother many years ago through an accident, and so the family and everyone, we all moved south, and my sister and brother-in-law had a property in Somerville. So my mum and dad moved down to Mentone. So I moved down that way and, I sort of then decided to go and play with my brothers around the Cranbourne area, Marinda Park Cricket Club. So played there for a number of years till I think it was 1988. I ruptured my Achilles tendon 90% off the bone when I was football umpiring in the VAFA. So that put paid to my cricketing career of playing, and then I took on the non-playing coach at Marinda Park for a number of years and was able to coach my 2 brothers and won a couple of premierships, and that was in the South Gippsland competition. That was my thing, and I actually then became president of Marinda Park Cricket Club for a number of years, and we managed to get new club rooms and that through the council, and so had a bit of an impact there, and and I'm a life member there at Marina Park Cricket Club as well, which is great.
Well, there's a lot of people wouldn't know about your cricketing background, so most people think you're just umpire, but that's fairly much a rich history. President and, new club rooms and family involvement and coaching. So no doubt you're like most cricket umpires. When you're out in the field, you see captains move fields. You say to yourself, well, that's a great move. And sure enough, there's a wicket comes off it very quickly. So you'd pick that up. Now, you mentioned Ken Hunter. Now, you played against him in a particular game. I think he was obviously a Carlton AFL champion. How good a cricketer was he?
He's quite a good cricketer, but it was a semi-final. We played to get in the grand final, and he was on naught, hadn't scored. He was there for about 1.5 overs or something. In the second over he was facing, and he got a little faint snick behind, which I caught, and then he moved out of his crease, and I thought I'd stumped him as well, so I appealed both, and both of them knocked me back, and he went on to make 100.
Oh, and I assume you didn't win the game either.
No, we didn't. They put us out.
Okay. Oh, that's a good story. Just changing tact a little bit, you worked for Miller's Ropes, where are they based? And you're a mechanical engineer. What was Miller's?
Yeah, they were based in Brunswick, right across from the Brunswick Police Station, which was the mobile police unit, big, massive complex. And Miller's Rope works there. And they were 110 years old or something. And so I worked there, did my apprenticeship there, and then went on there and worked there for a number of years. But during that actual employment, I was transferred for nearly 2 years down to a subsidiary company of Miller's, was Donaghy's in Geelong. So when I went down there, I managed to get a couple of games with Geelong before they amalgamated with North Melbourne, and had a few games down there, and was fortunate enough to have Ian Redpath as a bit of a mentor / coach, and who helped me along. So yeah, it was great. And then I moved back to Melbourne after that.
So was that your first interaction with an Australian Test player?
Oh, absolutely.
And how good a coach was he?
Oh, he was good. He was what you see is what you get with Ian Redpath. He was very laid back, and he just wanted to enhance and develop his skills. I didn't think he was all that good tactically, but but he was certainly a very good coach of individual batsmen, that's for sure.
Yeah, that's great. There's one thing I missed when you were at Marinda Park. What was your top score?
I was batting with my brother Stan, and my hands started to cramp up actually, and I was about 80 or 90 or something, and my brother came down, gave me a bit of a rev, and I went on to make 106 before I got bloody stupidly caught just a silly leg. So, so that was my one and only century I ever made in my career.
Well, actually, one you can put on the top shelf.
Absolutely.
That's good. You never bowled, did you?
Nah, I bowled a little bit. No, not worth mentioning.
Not worth mentioning. Okay, so we'll move on to cricket umpiring. So this is your 35th season, correct?
Yeah, that's right.
And then when you first started, who was the umpiring advisor?
Kevin Carmody was his name, and Kevin was a really good umpire's advisor. He had great values, and he had the ability to get the message through to the umpires, and he had everyone just looking at 3 or 4 key aspects of the game, and he was a no fuss. He'd drive around the games, and I'd see him park up on the hill somewhere at some games, and he'd walk out and he'd check the danger zone to see if the players were going in there, and if they were, and you didn't pick it up, he would let you know about it.
Well, that's pretty good, and it's that's one of those things that as umpires we have to really watch out for, and ultimately it's the rules in the game, and most umpires in most games would have to be giving somebody a bit of reminder that you shouldn't be running in there.
Yeah, one thing I did forget, John, just while and I'd like to mention it now, was that Chris Stevens, when he came, and he was our umpire's advisor / coach for 8 years, and he was the one that really taught me a bit that you could vary your position at square leg. When I first started, you just stood there, strided the line, so to speak, but he taught me how to do that. He taught me how to really keep my head still, and he taught me about, the real key aspect of teamwork within there. So there real enhancement. So Chris Stevens became not just a really good advisor coach, he became a mentor. And I owe a lot to Chris Stevens. He was fantastic for my career.
Can I back that up? Because obviously when I first started, Chris Stevens was the umpire's advisor, and I really felt that Chris was, for me, absolutely fantastic. And then backed up by yourself. I remember you and I were down at Brighton one day, and I had my back turned to the ball. The ball was coming over my shoulder, and you said if you keep on doing that, you're going to get hit in the back of the head with the ball. And then you quickly taught me that secret was just to actually turning, watching the ball, seeing it throw back in again. So, but with Chris, I felt that he was a really good umpire. He understood, he got it, and he actually got that the person up the other end gets the game as well, and just encourages us to really progress forward, which is really.
Well, I was fortunate enough to see Chris up close and personal because we actually did a grand final together up at Melton. Melton played Werribee, and just totally traditional rivals, and Chris was a no-nonsense umpire, and he just commanded respect, just the way he went about it, and it was a great grand final. I'll always remember it, and he was a great umpire and a great umpire, coach and mentor for mine.
That's good, and if anybody's umpiring Plenty Valley at Yarrambat, Chris looks after the wickets there, and I think he's also he's a net captain as well, I think, nowadays.
He was doing that for a while. I'm not 100% sure if he's still doing that, but I wouldn't be surprised because he gets totally involved with the club, and that's where he lives and everything. But what he did do, even when he first joined the club, he was doing some umpiring for us, helping us out over the years, and then he got more and more involved with the club and gave it away. But he was a great teacher, that's for sure.
That's good. Hats off to Chris. So moving on, your very first game in sub-district was at Williamstown. So what was special about that particular day, apart from your very first match?
Yeah, it was with Matt Harris, which at the time he was mayor of Maribyrnong or something along those lines. And I remember I'd never been shown how to put the stumps in the turf, and so the guys were out practising out on the ground. It was Blake not too far from me, had a bat. I said, can I borrow your bat? I started whacking the stumps in, and Matt Harris come rushing down. No, son, you don't do that. And it's a lot different where today, we have welcome booklets and we try and give new umpires coming on board, some documents and everything to get them started. There was none of that when I first started.
So I'm just going to move on to some memorable moments for you. So there was one particular one that was, you actually were the person who was responsible for, I'll say it again, responsible for the introduction of two-day cricket for the final round of the season, round 13. So what happened?
Well, first of all, I wasn't responsible, but it was my game where Caulfield played Noble Park at Noble Park. It was the last round, and whoever won was going to play finals. So both captains, I could see them from a distance with their heads together and having a chat and rah. And, first innings, they declared for Noble Park, and then Caulfield batted, and then they declared, and then the second innings they declared, and they went for an outright, and Caulfield happened to win, and made finals, and the VSDCUA got wind of that and said they felt it was contrived, and so from there on, they decided the one-day game would be in the last round of the season, so that, as you know, you can't declare in one-day games. So they came out of the game that I did back in
those contrived results, that used to happen all the time. It was just one of those things, gets toward the end of the season, no matter what competition it is, people put their heads together and go, well, it suits us, suits you, let's do it. So, and I know I've played in games that that's happened. So, anything else that comes to mind? You mentioned there was a link between the new Australian Test opener, Will Pekoski, and yourself with a good story.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, doing my 400th game last Saturday, Jan Pekoski turned up with 3 dogs he had on leads. And he as I was walking to the change room, and he said, Benny, I can't believe you didn't put me in your top 2 players. So he's got a bit of a comedian side to Jan, but he was a fierce competitor. And I mentioned to him, I said, well, I gave you a mention because you had that, whatever it was, on your boot as you were running in to bowl. You heard this clanging sort of noise, and it was I don't know, like a loose stud or something that he had. He would never ever divulge it to me. And I said, mate, what are you doing with this noise? And he said, oh, it's to distract the batsman. So there was no rule against he just had this, whatever it was loose on his boot and it would clang whenever he was running in. So we had a big laugh about that last Saturday, as a matter of fact.
Well, just to recap, Ben and I got together and talked about, and we put some thoughts on paper, and that was one of them. So, and we're using this for this podcast because it wouldn't fit onto Facebook. And then that'd be a 5-run penalty today. It's actually deliberate batsman. Did you?
I don't know. Would you call it? Did it have to come under fair or unfair? Is it unfair? I don't know.
Annoying the crap out of the umpire and then the players. It's pretty unfair, I reckon. So anyway, that's a good story. Now you've got some unusual. Well, not I wouldn't say unusual habits, but I've seen it certainly because you and I have umpired together quite a number of times. So come on, number one habit.
After the fifth ball, I put my counter in my pocket. I put it over to 6 and 0, and then put it in my pocket. So I know that there's only one ball to go, and some may ask, well, if you call a wide or a no ball, there's still one ball to go. So the way I look at it is, if I haven't got my counter in my hand at the end of an over, then I know it's over, and it's stood me in good stead for all these years. And I can't answer you why I do it. It's just become a habit, and it's something I do, but I can't honestly tell you why.
So there's one other umpire does exactly the same thing. Did he get it from you or did you get it from him? That's Merv Heinsohn.
Well, it's funny you say that. Merv spoke to me through the week and he was reminding me that his very first game in the first and sub-district, he umpired with me. So he may well have, I've never asked him, but he may have got it from me. But I noticed Vince Borg does it as well. He did it last Saturday, which I didn't know about either. So it's become a little bit of a fad for some umpires, but yeah.
Oh, that's one thing that is so true. Well, you learn from your other umpiring mates. If you see somebody doing something you think's a good idea, you'll tend to actually copy it, which is great. And there's another one. You at the beginning of an innings in particular, there's one thing you do to be alert. What's that?
Oh, look, I find that every ball you move towards the crease line in readiness for any quick runs, quick singles that clubs do in one-day cricket. So if the first ball, second ball, third ball, doesn't matter what it is, goes through to the keeper, I'm still moving. I move towards the crease, so my body keeps warm, my muscles as supple as I can, so that if they go for a quick single, I'm not going, oh, gee, and you get caught out. I'm always on the move. And then also, as the ball's being thrown back towards the bowler, I watch it for the first few overs, so you get to see the ball, and then when the bowlers come in, you're able to pick up the ball a lot better and a lot quicker.
Wow, that's good tips. So we'll get on to your tips later, and I'll just turn my phone off because that's making noise. So let's go to where you used to work. So the VAFA.
Mm-hmm.
How long were you with them for?
Over 50 years all up.
50 years.
And I worked for them officially. I was employed by them for the last 16 years as general manager of football and umpiring.
Okay, so what other roles have you done there?
Well, in the last 2 years, I moved to general manager of, club development, because the clubs weren't getting anything official from the VAFA in support. How to recruit, how to raise money, how to appoint a coach, what policies to have in place. So I did that for 2 years as a transition towards retirement, and which was very successful. And then at the end of September 2020, I retired from full-time work and from the VAFA. But had a wonderful time there, and life member of the VSDCUA, and so umpired 347 senior games. That same injury that put paid to me with my cricket career put paid to my football umpiring career. So,
wow! So you had a bit of a complete change to your life, because all the things you like to do, and suddenly the injuries caused you to actually reevaluate and start again, which you obviously did do and did successfully. There were some pretty good footballers or umpires that you coached at the VAFA.
Yeah, well, there's quite like Chris Donlan, who came through the AMOs. I think he's umpired 2 AFL grand finals. Probably the biggest one is a guy called Simon Meredith came to me with Brad Hodge. They came as young boundary umpires as 15-year-olds. After 2 years, Brad Hodge said, enough of this running around, and he went back to play cricket, and you saw what a career he had. And then Simon Meredith stuck with football. I moved him on to the VFL then, and now they're called the AFL, and he's now done 6 AFL grand finals, and I'm proud to say I had a small part to play in his development in his formative years. And we've probably got about 8 or 9 guys who are currently on the AFL field umpire list, a couple of boundary umpires, a few goal umpires, and it's been a great part of my life with AFA, and a wonderful, wonderful organisation, the largest community football competition in Australia.
Wow, that's exciting. So moving on, we'll go back to cricket. We're going to do some Q&A right now. So first thing is, what is the hardest decision to make?
In my opinion, bat pads are probably the most difficult, especially with hands and gloves and everything going around. And of course, leg side catches are never easy either. They're probably the 2 hardest ones to make, and that's why concentration is paramount.
So do you have a secret to make sure you get those right?
Well, I watch the ball as close as possible, and I'd have to be honest and say I haven't got them all right. I remember a leg side catch that I gave not out and came off the face of the bat, and it was at Camberwell, and the batsman, when he made the run the next day, came down and he said, "Thanks, Benny." I said, "Thanks for what?" He said, "It came right off the middle of the bat. There was no deflection, no noise, no nothing." And I didn't think he hit it, but I said, "Well, do me a favour, will you keep that to yourself?" But yeah, look, you're not going to get them all right, but I'm very process driven, and if you follow a process, watch the ball, where it pitched, where it impacted, what it did it move, etc., there's more chance of you getting the decision right than ever.
Well, that's what we're looking for, isn't it? The other thing is when you look at the umpires these days on TV cricket, they don't have they have the luxury of going to the TV to get a second look at or a third look at, and all the hot spots and all that sort of stuff. Mm. And one thing you and I have talked about this in the past, that it shows how good the bloody umpires are, because ultimately they get them right more than they get them wrong by a fair bit, and the captains and the teams that actually appeal tend to only have about a 30% success rate.
Yeah, ask Tim Payne, never seems to get one right.
No, he doesn't. He's a shocker. Which means that wicket keepers. Well, the game in some ways, and I'll have a comment on you on this one. The game has been we're taught as cricketers to almost try and trick the umpire, aren't we?
Oh, well, you just try for every advantage you can, and that's why having independent umpires and not your own club umpire can put you under a bit of pressure. But club umpires who umpire their own clubs, it can be really difficult, especially come finals time or getting close to finals. So, club umpires, I'd really like to have independent club umpires. I think that would be the way to go, but that's something for the future.
Oh, that's a good one. Something to think about. Speaking about umpires, now there's some umpires you've umpired with that have made it all the way to the test level. Who are they?
Yeah, I was fortunate enough to umpire. Actually did 2 games with Billy Sheehan and one with Lenny King. But, and both Bill and Len out on the field, they're huge knowledge and quite a sense of humour, which is, great. And I just love the game.
Yeah, actually, Billy, I umpire with Billy with mid-year cricket, and he is just a delightful person to be around. So, and loves his umpiring. Lenny King, you've got a story to tell about Lenny King and what your involvement with him, or he tried to get you more involved in Premier Cricket. What's that?
Yeah, well, back in the day when we had championship finals, and I managed to get appointed to a few of those, Len King, Merv Day and Bob Stratton, they all tried, but Len King in particular tried for about 5 or 6 years to get me to join Premier Cricket. And whilst I said, look, that'd be nice, but I had a young family at the time, and I knew that they played Saturdays, Sundays, Melbourne Cup Day, all that sort of thing. And the one thing I knew how far Geelong was, of course, so I thought to myself, the game's going to start at 10 o'clock, and I'm going to be there by about 8:30 and home by about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. So I just felt with the family, I knocked it back. So, but it was nice to be asked.
That's good. Well, if you had to take it up, we wouldn't be celebrating your 400th first league game, would we?
That's true.
No, that is good. So, with your coaching of umpires, we talked about the book that you've done recently. What are some of the other things that you're really honing in on for umpires? That's current umpires, new umpires, and the future. So, what are some of the things you've actually worked on?
Well, first, I'm very process driven. Anyone that's been pardon me and seen my coaching sessions, it's all about following a process that leads to the evidence that leads to you making a decision, and based on that evidence. So I think that's first and foremost what I require umpires and ask them to do. Concentration's a big one. There's some umpires struggle to concentrate all day, and I've had some umpires tell me that they get home, they get a headache from concentrating. You've got to be able to relax as well and take the pressure off. So when you walk to square leg, by all means having a look around, the player's not walking all over the danger zone and nobody's saying anything to each other. But then just relax, drop your body, drop the shoulders, just relax. As soon as the bowler starts to come in a bowl, prop yourself up, and concentration again starts from there. So you've got to be able to know the right time to switch on, switch off. They're probably two of the most key ones. And then, of course, keeping your head perfectly still at the bowler's end, using your eyes only to see if the front foot's no ball. If you're finding you're having problems with that, then adjust your stance, distance from the stump so you've got a clear view of it. And lifting the eyes, you can use that quicker than anything, and to be able to pick up the ball where it pitches, where it hits or where it impacts, and then you'll be able to make decisions. And the other one that I'm really big on is the 1, 2, 3 in making a decision whether it's out or not out. Then that's where you become consistent in your process of officiating on every decision. So it doesn't matter how obvious it is if it's not out. As soon as it happens, to me, if you say not out straight away, they know straight away that you didn't think about it. So you've got to be able to highlight and show the players, captains in particular, that you're thinking about every appeal, no matter how frivolous it is. So you go through and you just say, not out. Don't shake your head. Look straight ahead and just in a nice tone so your partner can hear it and say, not out. So they're the ones that I think is really the crux of my coaching.
That's good. So with recruitment of umpires, if you had a message to send to all those existing players or just recently past players who've finished cricketing careers that just haven't continued their involvement in the game, what would you like to say to actually get them to encourage to become umpires?
Look, the main thing is players become really good umpires because they have a basic understanding of the game. And, the other thing that umpiring does, it puts you in the best seat in the house. You've got the best position right behind the stumps. And a player such as Rick Damiano at Brighton, by the way, is one of the best batsmen I've ever seen. And I think, him, guys like Daryl Stranger out of Bayswater that you and I have spoken about, I'd even think Trent Shields, who's now captaining the Force at Oakley, would make a good umpire. So because they've played the game and they've managed people, it's really important. Those don't give it away totally and take up umpiring, even if it's only for a few years, because they'll get a lot out of it. They'll be able to pass a lot of advice and guidance on to other umpires that come along. And they'd be just great for the VSDCUA to be able to keep those sort of people. So the main thing I will say, give it a go, give it a try. We'll coach you, we'll educate you, we'll help you, we'll assist you. You don't have to travel if you don't want to. We can keep you reasonably close to home. But the main thing is it's about contributing to the game in a different way by taking on umpiring. And I just about guarantee, once you have a go at it, you'll do a John Doig and you'll love it. And I think that's really important.
But, I was just thinking as you were saying that, I was thinking about, myself, and I didn't know you were going to mention my name, but ultimately, I finished playing cricket. You love the game and you go, I really miss it, but I don't really want to do the pre-season anymore. I don't really want to have the aches and pains. It was costing me more to actually go to see physios and chiropractors and my therapist to keep me on the park when I was trying to continue my career. And then, Saturday now is the same as it used to be. You know, you're up, you're thinking about cricket. Well, I start thinking about cricket on Friday night. You prepare for it just like you do in cricket, and you get to the ground, you walk around with your partner, you go through, you know, what you want to cover for the day and things you want to work on with your partner. And then ultimately the game begins and you're in the best seat in the house at the end of it. We'll love the game, or you wouldn't umpire if you didn't. And it's the bonus is what we get paid to do it, but it's, you know, it's never going to, you know, set the world on fire what we earn, but it just makes it even better. So, yeah, I love it, and I can't get enough. Handling conflict is, I think you do it better than most, and we all occasionally get it in games. We don't like it, but what's the secret?
Oh, look, I don't think there's any secret. I think, you know, it's about understanding, just be yourself, but understanding that we've got rules and laws that govern the game. And as long as you operate within those rules and laws, then handling someone who breaches any of those rules or laws is just by talking to them like we're having a conversation now. So, you know, if the John Doig is playing up, he's a bowler or a fielder, you just casually walk up to that person, don't get in their space, but look them in the eye, call the captain over if you need. Sometimes it is the captain. And you just got to look them in the eye and you say, look, you know that's against the rules. You're not supposed to do that. It's unfair. It's also against the spirit of cricket. Enough of that. I don't want to hear any more out of that. Get on with the game. And then you walk away. Now, if he happens to do it again, you come up and say, I've given you one friendly. That's it. You're in the book next time you say anything. And sometimes you've just got to do that. I've never actually said that to a player yet in my career, that I'll put you in the book. But I've come close and I've said, listen, if you keep going the way you're going, you're going to force me to take action you're not going to like. So if I was you, I'd refrain. So something along those lines. But I think it becomes easier as you gain more experience. And if the players respect the way you go about it, they'll respect what you do and they'll shut up. But, you know, I think if you try and, you know, be over the top, if you yell at them, if you scream at them and you get in their face, that's not going to achieve anything. And you've got to speak to them how you'd like to be spoken to. So it's all about understanding, and there's a correct way to do it. And I've run sessions on handling conflict. Now, I know, I'm not naive about it. I know that some umpires just don't like it and they're not likely to do it. But, you know, the players will gain respect for you if you're prepared to at least say, that's enough of that, knock it off, as against by doing nothing. And I think we are, whether we like it or not, we're paid to do a job. So that's part of the job, is then just handling those little conflicts. But the other thing is there's support. If you're not sure something's happened after the game, then you give me a call and I'll walk you through it. And there's still time after the game to do something about it. So, you know, there are processes in place that can assist you in doing that. Like, again, I'll repeat it. I know it's not easy and some don't like it, but it is part of what we do. And sometimes it's a necessity.
Yeah, I've found that in general, the behaviour is exceptional, and then normally the captains will take care of it. You mentioned it, the captain, it's no longer an issue. So, and that's one of the, you know, a lot of players that they get concerned that because they might have been a bit rowdy and a bit, you know, giving umpires a hard time, that they're going to cop it because they're an umpire, but it's actually not true. Most of the players, and, you know, that's a 98% are all actually fantastic.
Yeah, we don't have that issue at VSDCUA in the main. It's pretty good, so it's well-run competition.
Yep, so true. We're just going to finish with a couple of things. What was the best game of cricket you ever umpired?
Oh, it was a championship final, really. I think from memory, Brighton played Preston, I think, from memory. It was... Darren Walker was... the bowler for Brighton. He was a left arm over the wicket quick. He played a lot of Premier cricket and he was a great bowler and he'd bowl at you. And of course Pereira from Preston was a gun bat. So yeah, and so that's probably the best game I've ever seen. But you know, I've had a few finals and grand finals. I had Bayswater against Box Hill comes to mind. So. Gee, there's many games that I've seen, but Caulfield grand final against Yarraville at Yarraville, and Caulfield looked like getting run over and came home and won the flag that year. But so they're the ones that sort of stand out pretty quickly. And the other one was a rep game where Johnny Watkins and Hampton, who was captain coach of Oakley, put on a 200 opening partnership in a rep game. And they were just two gun bats and set us up for a good win. I say us, even though I umpired it independently, of course.
Of course. And your favourite bats?
Brian Harper of Caulfield, he always reminded me very Greek Chapelish. And Rick Damiano from, who was Caulfield and Brighton. And Rick's just made his 10th century at Brighton to go along with his 10 centuries at Caulfield, sitting on 20 centuries, and I think that's the record now, ahead of Butch Gale in the VSDCUA. So he's an absolute gun bat, Rick Damiano. And
Val Helton at 19, he might have just gone past him. I don't know how many Butch has done. So
I'm not sure, but that's the message I got anyway.
Yeah, that's good. Best keeper?
David Knight at Caulfield was probably the best in my time that I saw. Where leg side was brilliant, very good. So he'd be the standout keeper for mine.
Best all-rounder or all-rounder?
Best all-rounder was Darryl Stranger of Bayswater, and just one of the nicest guys walking the planet. He great bowler, could bat, made centuries, really good fielder, good arm, good strategist as well as a captain, and made sure what I really liked about Stranger to top off his all-round ability was his other string of his bow, his ability to get on and understand umpires and what they were about. So he would be the best all-rounder in sub-district for mine.
And he's still playing the game.
He goes down to thirds or fourths and helps out the kids.
So just quickly on Bayswater, you had a little thing that you used to do, Bayswater. I don't know if you do it now when you go there. What is it?
I used to take a bottle of red every time I had a game at Bayswater, but I made sure that the opposition, as well as the Bayswater guys, shared in the bottle. So it was just something I did, and because they welcomed me so much from when I first started, and I thought, it's just my way of showing a bit of appreciation. So I would often invite the opposition captain and a couple of players to come and have a red with us and the Bayswater guys, and it helped them, intertwine and meet after the game as well. So it was a good sort of ritual that I did at Bayswater,
Yeah, drink driving laws these days might
that might
be cheering around, so it wouldn't go very far. Who's your favourite, best bowler or bowlers?
I think I'm not 100% sure how to pronounce Salvatore, who played for Croydon. And the reason being, he was in the twilight of his career when I was umpiring. He played Premier Cricket and then was captain and coach at Croydon. And he could swing the ball both ways. And at first 11, just to see, it was like painting a Picasso, a piece of work. It was just art to watch him bowl. And he's well revered around Croydon, and rightly so, and within the VSDCA. He's probably the best all-round bowler I saw. But Ronnie Howland at Malvern was a great competitor, fierce competitor. He was a policeman. Unfortunately, he was killed riding his motorbike in a car accident some years ago. But 2000, I think it was. But he was a fantastic competitor, and it was not unusual to see Ronnie take a 5 or a 6 or even a 7 for, and so they're probably the best two bowlers I saw in my time.
Oh, that's good. And I said we'll finish up. We better. Just a bit about your family.
Oh well, my wife Wendy and I've got 3 daughters. Wendy's not a sports person at all, not into cricket, not into football. She'd rather watch a documentary on TV than anything else. And she came and watched me umpire football once and sat on the balcony and read a book for the whole day. So she's not, but her support of me and making sure that my gear's always, washed and cleaned and everything she's 100% supportive of me. And I couldn't do anything in sport without her support. And, the one thing I like about family, I just love catching up with my family and friends. I've got 2 brothers and a sister. I had 3 brothers, lost a brother some years back. I love Christmas. We catch up with them. We go out, family coffees. I've got mates, about 3 or 4 really good mate groups that I go out for coffees and lunches. And and that sort of thing. And you just can't beat family and friends for mine. It's what life's all about.
Good. I'm just going to finish with one last thing. I'm going to ask you, how important is umpiring with your partner?
Oh, teamwork is paramount. It's something that you really should strive. I mean, one of the key elements that I probably I failed to mention before is before every game, no matter who I umpire with, even with Vince, who's umpired over 100 games of Premier Cricket, was my partner on Saturday, I said, well, what's our game plan today? And we have a game plan before we go out and umpire. And even if you talk about the guy at square leg, or make sure there's 4 in the circle or 5 or only 2 out for the first 15 overs or whatever it is. So you've got a plan in place. The other plan is after every no ball and every wide, you continue to signal to each other. If there's one that goes over the shoulder, that the bowler needs to be warned about, that you're one and only in one-day cricket, you only have one, that your partner at square leg is on the same page as you, and you're looking and supporting each other by a little signal finger on tap of the shoulder. Yes, that's one. Those sort of things. If it goes off the pad, it goes down a fine leg, the square leg taps his leg just to let the bowler's end umpire know that you believe it came off the pad. Now, it'll always ultimately be the bowler's end umpire's decision, but it's just assisting. And that can make a hell of a difference when at the bowler's end, sometimes you go, oh, did that come off the pad or the bat? I'm really not sure. You look over your partner, he's tapping his leg, you go, thank God for that. How good is that? And it just makes a hell of a difference, You're not asking them to make a decision for you, but you just ask them to help. And, of course, the other one is tic-tac-toe that a lot of people don't know about, is when you're letting your mate know at the bowler's end that the batsman's standing, whatever distance out of his crease. And, if he takes a big stride forward, it's a long way away from the stump. So LBWs might be taken out of the equation if a batsman's well down the crease. So there should be some element of doubt in those regards. The ball's only going to move a beast diaphragm if we miss the stump. So the teamwork is paramount. Have a game plan, work together. And then after the game, I think part of the teamwork is having a debrief. How did we go today? Was our teamwork up to scratch? Did we support one another? What can we do to improve? Give me the honest feedback. Yeah, I thought you missed the 2 signal. I thought you might have helped me with that touching your leg going down to fine leg because I wasn't sure. Little things, a lot of little things. We all call them the 1%ers. That's the best advice I can give to any umpire. Teamwork has got to be paramount. It'll help you, you help them, and together we walk off as a team.
Brilliant, mate. So just to sum up, 400 first 11 games over 35 seasons, 500 games all up, 512 games all up. Yeah, I don't know how many grand finals, but heaps. You'd be in the 20s or 30s or something like that. Your championship finals, there was 15 of those, and out of the 15, you did 13. Rep games, I think you did about 12.
Yep, correct.
Ultimately, as a cricket player, as a cricket coach, as a cricket umpire, as a cricket umpiring education support, the whole lot, you're a full package. So congratulations on a fantastic milestone of 400 first 11 games. I know that all the umpires adore you, and at times there's tough love, but we've all had that. But ultimately, you're there for the right reasons and trying to get people to develop and grow. So thanks, Benny. Been great having a chat, and I'm sure this will make a good podcast for people to listen to, maybe in the car, because we've gone roughly about 40 minutes. But ultimately, it's something that you're a living legend of our competition. I know you're a VSDCUA life member, and then in your leadership and all those and the effort you put in, the amount of calls you must make weekly to captains and umpires, trying to help people and progress and to learn is extraordinary. So congratulations on a fine career. May it continue for a lot longer. And you're still pretty sharp and doing your first 11 game only last week. There's going to be many more to come. So well done, mate. Thanks very much for your time. And I look forward to hearing people really enjoy this story.
Thanks very much. Thanks very much.